What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Crush City Territory. I'm Chandler Rome, joined by Tyler Stafford after the Astros dropped a 5-2 loss to the A's at Dyken Park on Thursday night, snapping their 4-game losing streak. Tyler, I cannot remember the lineup. I remember Jason Alexander pitched. Hector Neris pitched 2 innings for some reason.
Mhm.
It was it was what you've come to expect. It was a night where everything basically had to go perfect because this team right now has to play error free. They have to play without any mistakes because of the vulnerabilities that their depth has exposed. And Bryce Matthews threw low on a double play ball. They overthrew a cutoff man once. It's not a crisply played game. Luis Severino's pretty good, and yeah, well, they're a game behind the Blue Jays for the best record in the American League, which is still a good place to be.
Yeah. Tough to win games when you can't remember your lineup and the one thing you know about your starting pitcher is that you can't get the Seinfeld theme out of your head. They played it on the radio in the first inning. I was proud of them for that. But yeah, it's going to happen. Also, Luis Severino is good when he's not in Sacramento. Those things happen. You move on.
It was Jason Alexander's first start at Dyken Park with the Astros. I was praying that he ran out there to the Seinfeld theme. That was unfortunately he did not. That would have made whatever they did Christmas in July at
Sure.
Dyken Park yesterday. That it was very weird.
Mm-hmm. I saw Julia in her sweater. They showed that off. I do want to say here's a little tidbit for Seinfeld heads out there. The little bass slappy, that thing.
Mhm.
That's actually on a keyboard. It's a synthesizer. It's not a real bass. So you're welcome, everyone. That's my my musician input here for everyone here. That's actually a keyboard and not a bass guitar.
Interesting. I
Mm-hmm.
would not have. I'm a
You're
huge
welcome.
I'm a huge Seinfeld head, and I would have not have guessed that
Mm-hmm.
because it just sounds like a normal. It sounds like a
Nope.
guitar. It
Nope.
does.
It's a dude on a synth just hitting buttons.
Good for him. I bet he made a good bit of residuals
Yeah.
off of Seinfeld. So he's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Before yesterday's game, Dana Brown had a chance to talk to him, the Astros GM. He's doing well too.
Mm-hmm.
Has the team with the second best record in the American League. Did say he needs to get a little more sleep. I imagine he will get a little more sleep at this time next week because the trade deadline will be over. Talked to Dana for about 5 minutes yesterday, and he said what I think we all kind of thought after Isaac Paredes' injury, that the Astros are prioritizing the bats
Mm-hmm.
at the trade deadline. They are focused on offense. They are focused on acquiring. If Dana had his druthers, it would be a left-handed bat. I asked him infield or outfield, what is the priority? And he said, we can't be choosy at this point. Like if we can get an outfielder that hits left-handed that we like, we're going to get him. If we can get an infielder, we're going to get him. Tyler, we want to spend the next 20, 30 minutes talking about some names that make sense. Off the top, guys, I will be completely candid. I've tried to do as much reporting as I can, and to show how good at my job I am, I have yielded like 0 actual like targets that they have.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard that they've kicked the tires on a lot of different guys. As we talked about on the last episode, it is a dereliction of duty for Dana Brown and his lieutenants not to call any team that has hitters available. So yeah, I'm sure they've checked in on Eugenio Suarez. I'm sure they've checked in on Mickey Moniak, Mike Talkman, Ryan O'Hearn, Cedric Mullins. Like these are all guys that we know are available. Most of them, aside from Suarez that I just said, hit left-handed. I would hope that Dana Brown has at least called his contemporaries at these other places to check in. So does calling them and checking in mean they have interest? That's really semantics, and that's up to you. But what we're going to do, Tyler, is we're going to look at the players that we understand are available from teams that are clearly sellers, from teams that have signaled to the world that they are going to move pieces off of their team. Like the Arizona Diamondbacks, who kicked off the deadline yesterday by trading Josh Naylor to the Seattle Mariners, giving first of all, what do you think of that trade? Because you look at the top of that Seattle lineup now, it's JP Crawford, Randy Arozarena, Julio, Cal Raleigh, and Josh Naylor. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good top 5 of that lineup now.
I mean, don't tell Reddick that. He'll get all fussy about how bad the Mariners lineup is, but they were already a pretty good lineup. And then you add Josh Naylor. Like, yeah, that's a good lineup. But Jerry DiPoto loves trading, and there's still 6 days left. There's nothing to say the Astros can't trade for Josh Naylor from the Mariners. That man would love to go in the history books of trading a guy before he even gets to his team.
That would be a very Jerry DiPoto thing to do. Maybe only topped by AJ Preller of the Padres as the 2 executives that really run the trade deadline. Reporting from Seattle and reporting from people that cover the Mariners suggests that, that does not take, like, acquiring Josh Naylor does not take the Mariners out of the Eugenio Suarez sweepstakes. The Mariners needed they needed help at both corner infield spots. Josh Naylor's obviously going to play first base for them. Eugenio Suarez would make a ton of sense to play third base for them. They are very familiar with Eugenio Suarez because Eugenio Suarez once played for the Seattle Mariners, but they traded him because he struck out too much. And that is not that's not an illogical thing to do. Eugenio Suarez led the American League in strikeouts in 2022 and 2023. He only struck out 176 times last year for the Diamondbacks. This all goes to show you, Tyler, and we were talking about it a little bit before we hit record. There's this fallacy and this thought among fans that, like, every trade deadline, there are players available that are just going to immediately alter the trajectory of your season. And the Astros have had a couple of those players come in. Justin Verlander in 17. Zach Greinke, I wouldn't say altered the trajectory of the 2019 Astros. He certainly made them a super team, but that team was really, really good without Zach Greinke. And then obviously in 2018, they had agreed to acquire Bryce Harper, and that ended up not happening.
Pretty cool.
But that he certainly would have altered the trajectory of the 2018 Astros.
Francisco Liriano.
Got an
out getter in Game 7 of the World Series.
Got an out. Josh Fields, sending Josh Fields away.
That was a good one.
That helped that bullpen maybe stabilize a little bit. You never know. But it goes to say, like, of the players that we know are available, and like, let's also have the caveat here that I don't think anyone thought Zach Greinke was available in 2019 until the news broke at 4:02 that the Astros had acquired him. Like, so there's always going to be those surprise names that get traded the day before, the day of the deadline, that no one was talking about, that are all of a sudden factors. And so keep that in mind. But of the players that we know are available, there's none that really jump out on the offensive side. There's none that jump out and you're like, oh my goodness, like, you're going to slot that guy in the 2 or the 3 hole, and he is going to completely revitalize this Astros lineup. No, the Astros are going to get better offensively by what they have coming back internally from Alvarez and Pena and Myers and maybe Paredes, who knows. But Tyler, as you look at who is available and you look at some possibilities, do you have a dream acquisition? Do you have, like, an ideal name that fits this team better than most that you would like to see them try to go get?
I mean, you're right. There's not anybody that changes the trajectory of your season. And the truth is even if there were, the Astros don't have the capital to get that type of person. So you are going to be looking at guys who are just kind of filling roles. You're not going to get somebody that, that their jersey is going to be in the team store. Let me put it that way. You're not getting anybody like that, I would imagine. I do think there's a good amount of, like, number 3, number 4 starters who are available, especially, as the standings get a little more clear. The problem is, and this is true obviously of most trade deadlines, is that the only people trading are the bad teams, and the bad teams are bad because they don't have good players typically. So it's rare to even, unless it's like a Juan Soto deal from a couple of years ago where it's like, he's obviously awesome, but the rest of the team is terrible. There's really not a lot of guys like that out there right now. But I would say on the pitching side of teams that I think are more likely to now be sellers, and you wouldn't have expected that, like the Twins, for example,
Mhm.
right? Like in the past couple of weeks, it's been clear that the Twins are 49-53. They're 10 games back. They'd have to jump the Royals and Guardians just to get to second place. They're not anywhere near the wild card. They'd have to jump 8, 9 teams to get up in there. So I think that the Twins are probably sellers. That's a team that has some talent on it that is available. Um, Even a guy, it's very silly to say that this is like a dream acquisition, but a guy like Willi Castro who can play, you know, second base, shortstop, outfield. He's a switch hitter. He's got a 112 OPS this year. He's signed through the end of the year, so he's not gonna cost you a whole lot. But that's a guy that for the Astros would be really valuable because he can play in so many different positions. He's a good hitter. He can hit left-handed. Um, that's a guy that I would be excited about to see because again, I don't think it's going to cost you a ton. And then obviously, even within the Twins, you could dream on a guy like Joe Ryan, right? Who is not probably available, but he's not available for the Twins. Like you definitely could work some magic there. Again, not a great fit for the Astros because they have so many young, controllable starters right now. That's not, if you were losing half of your rotation next year, that would be a guy that you could look at as okay, he's controlled through 2028. We'll kick the tires, as you say, on that. But yeah, man, there's just Mackenzie Gore, right? Like that's another guy that you could look at. Again, probably not a guy being traded. The one that I will say would be like really exciting, and I know that every other team is also having this opinion, and it's really going to depend over the next 5 days of what they end up doing. But if the Guardians end up selling and Emmanuel Clase is available, go get me Emmanuel Clase. That would be real fun. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean Joe Ryan, the echelon of like Joe Ryan, Emmanuel Clase,
Johan Duran too
Johan
on the
Duran, like
right.
I think those are in the realm of like those GMs have to pick up the phone and listen. I
Yeah,
think they have to. I think they would have to be completely blown away by the offers that they get to trade either of those guys, to trade any of those guys. I don't think the Astros are capable of making the sort of offer to blow them away.
yeah,
Unless,
because the Twins need, if you're going to give up that controllable talent, you would need a lot of controllable talent coming back, and the Astros, even at the major league level, don't have like high end controllable talent that is tradable right now.
yeah, and I mean, I talked to Dana Brown yesterday and asked him specifically whether he would be comfortable trading off of the major league roster at this point because like their depth is to a point where like all 26 guys in the major league roster currently like they need them to play. Like they need bodies at this point. And he even said he's like it is our preference not to trade off the major league roster. They want to make this work with all minor league players. And look, I am sure there are some young minor league players that haven't maybe hit the public top 100 prospect lists yet or the public scene yet that a lot of teams really like in the Astros system. But there are other teams with deeper farm systems that are better equipped to make the sort of
Sure.
offers that would compel the GM of the Twins and the GM of the Guardians to listen on Joe Ryan or Emmanuel Clase or Johan Duran or Griffin Jacks, even the setup man for the Twins. So again, it's not impossible, but I think the Astros are playing from behind the eight ball there, just from a prospect capital sort of situation. Willi Castro makes a lot of sense. Willi Castro is probably the guy that I would look at and say, that is the type of player that they need. He has started games this year at 6 different defensive positions. He's gone second base, left field, right field, third base, shortstop, and center field. Those are all areas where the Astros need assistance at this point. And, I'm not going to sit here and claim to know how good he is defensively, but the fact that he can play that many positions shows that he must do something right at all of those positions. And He's a switch hitter, can give you some balance. Doesn't it would allow Joe Espada to be a little more flexible with Mauricio Dubon, not having to pigeonhole him into one position while they're having this, rash of injuries. It would allow them to be a little more flexible in that situation. I like the Willi Castro idea a lot. The problem is, from what I understand, a lot of other teams like the Willi Castro idea as well. And again, if the Astros get in a bidding war with the Yankees or the Cubs or the Mariners or other teams that are buying, they are almost certainly going to be at a disadvantage because, like we talked about, they just do not have the top end talent that these teams are going to want for some of these players. Now you said Willi Castro's a rental.
I mean, they have the top end talent to get that guy,
right, yeah.
but you're not stupid enough to give you know what I mean? Like that, the problem is that if you get in a bidding war, it's a desire issue. And I don't think the Astros are going to out desire Willi Castro over, if a team is like going all in on that, like, of course they could trade, stupid amounts of talent and get a rental of Willi Castro back. I just don't see them doing that. So maybe you look around, for other guys in a similar vein. The Twins also have another left-handed hitting second baseman, left fielder. We could start collecting nepo babies over here. You go get Cody Clemens, something like that. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like for the top end guys, like Eugenio Suarez, if some team goes nuclear on that, I think there's literally a ceiling to where the Astros run out of prospect capital and just can't match an offer. I think outside of that, though, or outside of like the controllable guys, like we talked about with Joe Ryan or people like that, like any rental, the Astros can certainly outbid other teams, or they have enough to do it. I just don't think they will unless they really, really feel like they need to.
And, Dana said that he would rather prioritize, doing it with minor league talent. I think as we start talking about who could be in these packages, I think Bryce Matthews' name is going to come up a good bit, whether he's done enough in his brief cameo at the big league level to make him quote unquote untouchable. I'm not sure, but he is the team's best prospect. He has shown that he can at least acquit himself pretty well at the major league level. And in this episode, he is going to be part of our DraftKings player spotlight. Tyler, we talked about Bryce Matthews when he came up. We said that, he still had some work to do, still wasn't maybe the finished product that the Astros thought he was going to be. And then he goes and hits 2 homers off of Zach Gallen in Arizona. He then the next day hits a homer off of what they consider a leverage reliever in Jake Woodford. Maybe not a leverage reliever to everyone else, but a go-ahead home run in the 8th inning of a big game. A big week for Bryce Matthews on the field at the major league level. Could be a big week, with his name in conversations at the trade deadline. But for what you have seen from him through his first 8 or 9 games at the major league level, what has impressed you the most?
I mean, like I said, you can see the top end there, even when it's not in every at bat. Obviously he's, it's going to be tough. He got a 104 fastball from, or no, that was Cam Smith, but
that was Cam.
Thinking of the other rookie there, but you're going to see pitches like that you're probably not seeing in the PCL. I mean, I don't think anybody has seen a 104 fastball in a bit. So, you're going to struggle with that, but it's clear that he has the top end ceiling to be a really good player. I mean, he's made some really good plays in the infield. Obviously had an error last night. The home runs looked really good. So looking at the game today, he does get to face a lefty, which is rare for the Astros. So they have his over under at 1.5 total bases from hits. I think against a lefty with 3 or 4 at bats against him, I can definitely see him getting a double down the line or even popping one into the Crawford boxes. So that's what I'm going to be taking today.
And if you want to explore more prop bets on the DraftKings Pick Six app, here's where you would go to see. And Pick Six from DraftKings is the most fun way to play fantasy sports. You can download the DraftKings Pick Six app now and use the code FOUL. That's code FOUL for new customers to get a special sign-up offer. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick Six from DraftKings.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
Tyler, as we keep talking about the deadline, I keep coming back to this deadline to me has a lot of similarities to 2022. And I'm not sitting here saying that the Astros are going to win the World Series, but just in terms of what they are looking at and what they could end up getting. Remember what they got in 2022. They got Trey Mancini from the Orioles, who I think when the acquisition happened, a lot of fans presumed he would come in and play daily. That was never going to be the case. He came in as a platoon option, a guy to give some coverage at first base, to give him some coverage in left field, especially at then Minute Maid Park when the dimensions were pretty small. He's a right-handed hitter, could use the Crawford boxes pretty well. It didn't end up working. Trey Mancini did not play well when he was here, but he did have that one great defensive play in the World Series that everyone will keep talking about. And they acquired that same deadline. They acquired Christian Vasquez from the Red Sox to be Martin Maldonado's backup. Again, I think as you look at this deadline, you're looking at guys that probably are not going to come in here and play every day. And you're looking for just complementary pieces. You're looking for kind of marginal additions. And I think that is what they did in 2022. I think if you had to make me guess now, I would say that is what you're looking at for this deadline. You can even look to maybe some of the same teams. Look at the Orioles. I think the Orioles have two pretty attractive targets for the Astros. Both of them hit left-handed. Both of them can give them some help either at DH or in Cedric Mullins' case, he can play all three outfield positions. Cedric Mullins, to me, seems like the most ideal fit. He can play all three outfield positions. He is used to being in kind of a platoon role to where he has had points in his career where he doesn't play every day. Maybe to the Astros' benefit, he is not having a great year. So that inherently will drive the price down. So he is feasible from a cost perspective. Ryan O'Hearn went to the All-Star game this year, is having a much better season than Cedric Mullins, and Ryan O'Hearn is nowhere near as defensively versatile as Cedric Mullins. So to me, when you start to look at the Orioles and you start to look, can you match up with them again? I think Cedric Mullins is certainly the top target. If the Astros are going to line up with the Orioles on anything, I think Cedric Mullins would be the guy.
I think so too. Like you said, the positional flexibility is really important. Obviously, a lot of people are talking about Ryan O'Hearn, really good hitter. He's left-handed, but he is a first base DH guy. Christian Walker is not going anywhere. Like he's playing first base, and I mean we've even seen Victor Carantini play first base. Jordan allegedly will be back at some point this year and will be playing a lot of DH as well. So I don't even know that you have a spot necessarily for Ryan O'Hearn that really makes sense. So yeah, I think Cedric Mullins makes a ton of sense. That's a guy that I've wanted in an Astros uniform for like 5 years now. I mean, we're past the prime point of that where you were gonna have to pay a lot for him, but I think certainly he would provide that value and stability there.
And don't forget, I don't think anyone has. Mike Elias still runs the Baltimore Orioles along with Sig Mejdal. And Eve Rosenbaum is there too, another former Astros executive. Like they know, even though they've been gone for a while, they know the inner workings of this organization. I'm not going to say they know the farm system as well now as they did maybe 2 or 3 years ago, just with all the turnover. But that's a team that is very familiar with the Astros. Don't forget too that Joe Espada and Brandon Hyde, the Orioles recently fired manager. They're brother-in-laws or brothers-in-law. So Joe can get a pretty good feel on what Cedric Mullins is like, what Ryan O'Hearn is like. That is a team in the Orioles that is kind of a natural partner to the Astros, just given all the overlap, given how well everybody knows each other. So don't discount that. One thing I would discount that I think a lot of Astros fans have grown attached to the name Brandon Lau with the Tampa Bay Rays, a left-handed hitting bat that can play second base again, which is the ideal candidate for the Astros. The reporting I have done suggests that the Tampa Bay Rays are not even listening on Brandon Lau. They don't want to move him. He is not available. I've been told that by multiple people. Now, you never say never in these situations. Who knows if the Rays lose, the next 6 games. I don't have the standings in front of me. I don't think right now if the season would end today, I don't think they have a playoff spot, but they're not far off. And let's also remember Brandon Lau is on the injured list currently. He has I think it's a foot or an ankle problem that put him on the IL. So he's hurt. The Rays don't want to move him. I would be surprised if Brandon Lau is traded anywhere, much less to the Astros. So take that out of your mind right now. As you look at, Tyler, some of the other definite sellers, the bad teams, I really like Mickey Moniak with the Rockies. Another guy that can play all 3 outfield positions, is a left-handed hitter, has had a really nice year for a team that is not having much nice things happen to it in the Rockies. He hit well against the Astros in the 3 games at Coors Field. The Astros are very familiar with him given his time with the Angels and how much he played there. And one thing to not discredit here, Dana Brown, in his tenure as the Astros general manager, has liked to take guys that were picked in the first round. He's liked to take former first round picks and that top end talent, maybe guys that, haven't actualized it, haven't fulfilled it. Taylor Trammell is one of them. Taylor Trammell was a first round pick way back when. They traded for him this winter, kind of as he was losing kind of a foothold elsewhere. And now he's playing a pretty vital role for this team. So
another Rocky that was taken really high, Brendan Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, certainly something to look at. I remember that when the Astros got Robbie Grossman 10 whatever years ago, more than that, that was the other thing. It was like, oh, he's a first round pick, look, Mickey Moniak was the number 1 overall pick in 2016. Obviously hasn't worked out in that way, but there's talent there. And again, as a utility guy, I could certainly see that being, something that they're interested in.
Yeah, and I mean, Moniak,
it was a bad draft, 2016.
Yeah, he was 1-1.
We talked about that.
He was 1-1.
There's nothing in that draft.
Who went top 5 in that draft?
Nobody. I mean, the best pick from the first round was Will Smith in the supplemental round. I think the second round had a couple better players. That was obviously the Forrest Whitley draft. Yeah, Pete Alonso went in the second round. Bo Bichette. Brian Reynolds, another guy that I wanted on the Astros forever before he signed this long-term deal with the Giants. But I mean, you could certainly see that being a fit.
Yeah, let's talk about real quick, like the money aspect of this. You mentioned Brian Reynolds signed that huge extension. The Pirates are obviously definite sellers, or should be definite sellers. I'm sure they're going to hear from a lot of teams on a lot of their guys. O'Neal Cruz, Brian Reynolds.
Who's this Paul Skeens fella? He looks good.
Do you want to guess where he went to college?
Air Force, right?
He did, yeah, Air Force. Thank you for your service, Paul Skeens. The Astros, depending on which outside approximation you enjoy looking at their payroll through, they're about $2.1 million under the luxury tax at this moment. Whether Jim Crane wants to cross it again is a mystery. Dana Brown said what he had to say yesterday when I asked him about it. Just said, Jim Crane's committed to winning, and you've seen that he'll spend money, and I think he'll spend whatever we need to get this at the deadline. Obviously, Dana Brown's going to say that. He's not going to go on the record and say that his owner is not going to cross the luxury tax. I think that's a violation of the CBA if he even wanted to say that. But nevertheless, look, Jim Crane has a precedent of when he knows that, or when he senses that his team has a legitimate chance to win, whether it's the pennant or the World Series, he bucks precedent. He is able to push the payroll into heights that we have not seen. You saw that in 2017, taking on the money that was left on Justin Verlander's contract. Same thing in 2019 when acquiring Zach Greinke put them over the luxury tax for the first time in Crane's ownership tenure. They didn't end up paying the penalties because they were going to pay it for next year, which ended up being 2020, the shortened season. Baseball eliminated the CBT penalties that season. So they got away with not paying the penalties for crossing it. They ended up paying them last year when they had a payroll over the CBT. So doing it again as a repeat offender only increases the tax that they put on overages. You start to look at some of these guys, Mickey Moniak would not put a dent in their CBT bill. I believe he's only on like a $1.5 million contract. And you got to remember it's prorated. So the Astros only get the final 2 months of that. You look at Mike Tauchman, a left-handed hitting outfielder for the Chicago White Sox, who is having a very nice year. He's in that same boat, not making a ton of money. Could be a guy that they acquire and stay under the tax. But everybody else we've talked about, Cedric Mullins is making about $8 million. Ryan O'Hearn is making a nice, a good bit of money in his final year of arbitration eligibility. Those would put the Astros over the luxury tax. And I wonder, Tyler, would Jim Crane be okay doing that for just a marginal addition, or would he need to see because look, it's no secret, Jim Crane likes going for big names. He likes having the belle of the ball, for lack of a better euphemism. He likes having those guys on his team. That's why Justin Verlander was here for a very long time. Justin Verlander was a very good pitcher, but Jim Crane also liked telling people that I employ Justin Verlander and I know Justin Verlander. There's not, again, as we sit here with 6 days until the deadline, there's not that name out there. I don't know that Eugenio Suarez rises to that level, but you start looking around. If Dylan Cease is really available, then he's there. Emmanuel Clase, he's a guy. I wonder how much that maybe influences how Dana Brown kind of maneuvers this deadline.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to what he would or wouldn't want to go over the CBT for. I mean, you're right. Like if Class A is available and you can get him, and you can, I could see Dana Brown convincing him too of like, hey, instead of giving up a ton of prospect capital, just take on the whole contract. That can always be part of what you do. Even, sending somebody like Chas McCormick and paying his, that's where you can use the money part of it, where you can get away with, giving up a little bit less talent wise if you're willing to take on the cost of things. I could certainly see that being something that he does. But you're right. I mean, there's not anybody available, even on the fringes of being available, that you would look at and go like, all right, let's go all in on this guy. And also the Astros are not, because they have so many injuries, they have so many needs, they don't have one specific need that you can focus and go all in on. You can improve your team in a lot of different ways because you do have so many AAA players right now playing at the big league level that, I mean, again, even Willi Castro is like a clear upgrade over 7 guys that are probably going to play in your starting lineup in the next week, right? I think there's a lot of ways to do it that way this year without just going all in on a guy.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that, we have to remember here, and we talked about it on the last pod as well. Jim Crane, as most people would do, kind of maybe looks at precedent in the past and how these things have operated. And he's also seen that, we talked about it, in the 10 years of this golden era, there are 3 prospects that they really should regret trade at this point. Again, we don't know what the Wagner, Loperfido, Bloss package is going to turn out to be, but
I feel like we do.
I don't know. Who knows?
Probably okay.
Probably. But there are 3 prospects that they regret trading in 10 years. So maybe Jim Crane looks at that and is like, look, we have a formula that we know that we can pick the right prospects to trade, or, we can give the other teams the right list of prospects to pick from and just hope that they pick the right ones. Cause that's how this works a lot of times. Like a lot of teams, when they're having trade discussions, teams will have prospects that they circle or target, but a lot of times the acquiring team will give the other club a list of prospects. It's like, hey, here's like 6 guys that we feel comfortable parting with. You pick 2 or you pick 3. And then like the onus is on the trading team to pick the right guys. And, I'm not going to get into names, but I do know that there have been some times where the list has included names that would shock some people. And it just so happens that the other team has not picked the right guys. So some of it's luck involved. Some of it is just what we have talked about a lot, that prospects don't always pan out. Most of the time they don't pan out to the point that, fans build them up to be. So maybe that has something to do with it as well. But suffice to say that the Astros, it has been an active last couple of days for them. It's not one of these situations where I don't think anything's close. Talking to Dana Brown yesterday, I didn't get the sense that anything was really close league-wide. And then Josh Naylor got traded to the Mariners. So who knows? Maybe I'm just bad at this. But I think this is going to be one of those deadlines that comes down to, the deadline's on a Thursday. I think you'll see a lot of activity Tuesday night into Wednesday morning because, again, like we've talked about, a lot of these teams are going to make sure that they want to be sellers before fully committing to it. It took the D-backs until Monday to really like
the Astros made them sellers.
Right.
They put them in the market.
Bryce Matthews made the D-backs sellers. Bryce Matthews, Zach Short, and Taylor Trammell and Brandon Walter made the D-backs sellers. We will talk about maybe one other intriguing addition right after another message from our friends at Foul Territory.
You know about the best place to buy, sell, trade, or look for that special card in your world. It's called Arena Club, and Eric Kratz just went through a little slab pack experience, and you went big. You went for the Ruby pack.
I love it. I love clicking on the Ruby pack and knowing that I'm going to open something that is going to be epic. I got a Cal Ripken Jr. autographed 1 of 42. I'm keeping it right now, but I would love to have it in my hand, so I might even have them send it to me. Already graded, everything taken care of for me.
That's right. You want to hang it up and stare at it all day, go for it. But if you're in there to get something else or to sell it away, you can do that. They've got the buyback program, or you can put it on the marketplace yourself. Tons of options. This is where the best cards live. It's arenaclub.com/foul and use the code FOUL for 20% off your first slab pack, or if you'd like to purchase a card, 20% off your first card purchase. Again, arenaclub.com/FOUL. Use code FOUL.
Tyler, the most intriguing addition that could come to the Astros is people that they already employ. Christian Javier made his third, I believe it was his third rehab start of his comeback. He did it in El Paso for AAA Sugarland last night.
Cool ballpark. Have you been there?
I have not. No,
it's cool.
I've never been to El Paso. I just see the sign every time I'm driving that says there's 860 miles to go.
It's a cool city. Really neat. I went out there for work a couple months ago, and it rules. I don't know why we don't talk about El Paso like that, but very cool. Anyway,
I hope the Tourism Bureau should send us some T-shirts because
I'm in. I want a little figurine of the cool tram cars that run through the city. It's a really cool color. I brought one back for Olivia, but yeah, send that over to me.
And you're going to name it the Cam Smith Hype Train, aren't you?
Absolutely.
So Christian Javier pitched there last night. I tweeted out his Savant page because it's the first rehab assignment for him that we have Savant data on.
That seems hot, right?
And I think I just confused the hell out of everyone because
a
lot of people were basically just like, explain this to me like I'm 4. So
there's no way he touched 94.
I mean, do you think the radar gun's lying?
I mean, he was sitting 91 last season.
Well, okay, so why don't we do this? Let
Thank
me share
Pull it
this.
up.
Let me share the screen so we can go through this with some people, and we can maybe teach people how to read a savant
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
screenshot. Let me get it.
And
This
I'm
is
pulling
this is
up
doing
his, like,
technology.
averages.
This is doing technology real time. All right, so here you go. Let me get it a little bigger. As you can see, this gentleman right here asked, "Talk to me like I'm 3," which is a scary sentence. So essentially, what you're looking at here is you're looking at Christian Javier's data from last night in El Paso. I'm not going to go through it all. You can see the pitch velocity is in the first middle column. If you're listening to this on the audio form, he was up. It shows you how a pitcher is in relation to his season average, how his velocity is. They are using his averages from his last big league season in 2023 when he got hurt. Obviously, his velocity was not the same that year. So,
but even 2023, he was 92.7. The last time he's been 93.5 was 2022. Like that's significant. If he was sitting 93.5, like that's good.
Yeah. So maybe he was amped up. He knew he was pitching in altitude. He knew he was going to be facing guys that are going to be hacking early. So maybe he was fired up. But look, the velocity is a good sign.
Spin rate's still there too, which is huge for Javier. That's the exact, essentially the exact same average spin rate on his four seam, which again is why he has that kind of invisible, right? It spins so much that it doesn't drop. And I mean, the fact that it's still sitting at that same spin rate is a very positive sign.
Also, remember, as we talked about with Bryce Matthews, as we talked about with a lot of guys in the Astros AAA affiliate, when you play on the road in the PCL away from Constellation Field, the conditions are different. The elevation, the weirdness of the altitude, like it affects things. So take that into consideration here. I think the one thing that it shouldn't be a long-term concern, but as far as efficacy immediately when or if he gets back, he induced 20 swings and got 3 whiffs. That's not ideal. Christian Javier is known for, that invisible that has enough induced vertical break, has enough, high ride to miss bats. He did not miss bats last night. And it's one of these things where when you're out for 13 or 14 months, that's to be expected. Like you're not going to come back and get 25 whiffs right off the bat. So no pun intended. So, I think it fuels more of this, what we have talked about constantly, activating Christian Javier off the IL, giving him a big league uniform and pitching him in a big league game. That is one, like the Astros need that. They need established depth. They need established guys that have a track record of success. The big question is how effective are they going to be? Because if he comes up to the big league level and gets 3 whiffs on 20 swings against big league hitters, that's not going to cut it. So again, you have to take all of this with a grain of salt. You have to take all of this as if this is a slow, methodical process. He's probably Javier. You can group Luis Garcia in there too if he gets back. Luis Garcia hadn't pitched in a big league game in 26 months. If and when they get back, it's probably not going to be vintage Luis Garcia, vintage Christian Javier. They're going to need some time. It's going to take some time to get them assimilated and welcome back. Spencer Arrighetti is the one that you have better hopes for in terms of his immediate efficacy, just because he has pitched this season, and he didn't suffer an arm injury. He didn't suffer something that required, reconstructive surgery. He broke his thumb, which again it's not an insignificant injury, but certainly not what these other guys have been through. So Arrighetti will make a rehab start, I believe, with AA Corpus Christi at some point this weekend. At which point, I think there is a real possibility that after this next rehab start for Spencer Arrighetti, his next outing could come in the big leagues.
Yeah.
I think that is a very real possibility.
Yeah, which good. Bring him on back. Again, you're right. Like Javier is going to need to miss more bats. My concern for him coming back from an injury was because he relies so much on a fastball that typically sits 92, 93. I was really concerned that coming back from an arm injury, if he was sitting 89, 90, that he just wouldn't be able to get outs in the big leagues anymore. But again, if his velo is back to 93 and a half, that raises like the excitement level, I think, quite a bit. So I'm interested to see the next start if we get StatCast data, because that's huge that he's sitting 93, even though the results weren't there. Whatever, like that tells you that okay, you can assume that over the next 2 years he's going to get back into like where he's at, because you got him signed to a long contract, so you're going to be with him. I was very concerned that his velo is going to be way down, or spin rate was going to be way down, and you still got 2-3 years left on his contract, and you weren't going to know what to do with him. But yeah, you're right. I mean, this season, who knows what it's going to look like, but I think long term, that's a really, really good sign.
We're a podcast of the people, and as such, I keep my social media feeds open during our recording process. A fellow named Grant Mason, hello, just added both of us on Twitter after John Heyman of the New York Post surmised that Brendan Donovan is someone that would make sense for the Astros. The Cardinals all-star infielder, again, is someone that could play second base, is an ideal candidate when you start to look at, matches and things that could happen. Hits left-handed, has played the outfield a little bit, has played third base. Grant, hate to burst your bubble. From what I understand, the Cardinals have no interest in moving Brendan Donovan. You have to remember where the Cardinals are. They're trying.
St. Louis.
They are in St. Louis. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful city. Yeah.
I've
Truly
never
one. You're not missing much.
Okay.
Would not recommend. They're trying to they're building toward
right.
They're trying to offload veterans. They're trying to offload veterans to give runway to their younger players. Brendan Donovan is one of their younger players. He's one of the guys that they want the next good Cardinals team to be around, or to have they want him to be a foundation of the next good Cardinals team. You're looking more at guys like, I guarantee you, Nolan Arenado will be talked about again in a bunch of trade conversations. Ryan Helsley, their closer, will be in demand. Phil Maton, old friend, their
Lars
setup
Nutrigrain
man,
bar,
who is having I think Lars Newbar's hurt, but Lars Nutrigrain bar, who knows? Get him back.
That's how I start every morning. Just a large Nutrigrain bar.
Suffice to say, I do not think Brendan Donovan is getting traded. But again, with the trade deadline, you never know. If someone calls John Mozeliak, the president of baseball operations of the Cardinals, and gives him a Godfather type offer and blows him away, who knows? He could trade
who on that. I mean, again,
Ryan Helsley's really good.
He's very good. I agree, but I mean, just again,
Phil's had a really nice season as their
bring me back Phil Maton. That would be wonderful. Get Charlie Morton too while we're at it. Let's get everybody,
get the whole band back together. But again, if as is the case throughout the trade deadline, if you make the sort of offer another team can't say no to, you will get the player you want. Whether the Astros can do that with any team, make that sort of offer, make that kind of compelling offer, is a true mystery. I don't think personally they have what it takes to do that, especially if they're trying to acquire multiple pieces, get a pitcher and a hitter. But who knows? I guess we'll all find out together across the next 6 days, and we'll keep you updated here on Crush City Territory. As always, you can follow Tyler on X at Tyler C. Stafford. You can follow me at Chandler_Rome. The series against the A's will finish this weekend. We will be back on Sunday night with Josh Reddick to recap the series against his favorite team, the Transient Athletics. Who knows, by then the Astros could have new players on their team. They could have sent players away. The next 6 days will be a whirlwind. I hope to get some sleep. I hope to not get my behind handed to me by all the other reporters that are working on the trade deadline. It's always a fun time. If you want to see me, if you want to see that happen in real time, you can, as always, like and rate and review us on Apple. You can like us on YouTube. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get alerted every time we go live. We will, if and when the Astros make deadline deals, we will have reaction podcasts, even if it's not maybe the players you want, even if it's maybe just marginal role players. We will do some reaction pods if and when the Astros make deals at the deadline. So be sure to subscribe on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on all the podcast platforms so you can get alerted every time that happens. But until then, we will talk to you later.
Congrats to our close personal friends, Travis and Taylor, for going Instagram official. Bye.